Hey guys, it's me, Kate again. So this video will be my July TBR. So we'll be asking Bookopoly what I'll be reading in July. This, you'll see in the say that this TBR ended up being far longer than it needed to be, because I have two books with over 1,000 pages each, and at least three others are over 500 pages each. So, and that's not even all of them. But before we go into the books, let's go to the rule number one. So last month we landed on paranormal, so that's where we'll start. And let's go with rule number one. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. So this will end up. I turned it on the wrong side. We read a book with sky on the cover or in the title, okay. So rule number one ended up being elements card for free to read a book with sky on the cover or in the title. And I chose Skijaški dnevnik Pauline P. by Sanja Polak. Sky is on the cover. In this one we are following Pauline P., who goes skiing and writes a diary for her dad, because her dad broke his leg right before they were supposed to go. So she decides to write a diary for him to see at least a part of what was happening while they were there. Then we have rule number 2. So rule number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contemporary, okay. So rule number 2 ended up being a contemporary. For this I chose Online Going Solo by Zoe Sag. In this series of following Penny, who while being in a really uncomfortable situation in school, goes with her parents to New York to the wedding they're planning, where she meets a guy named Noah, and it's their romance. So let's go to the rule number 3. And rule number 3 is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Historical fiction. Damn it, I ran out, so we need to roll again. It's a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adult fantasy, okay. Roll number 3 ended up being adult fantasy, and because I had to roll 2 times, I had to choose 2 books. And me, not being smart, actually I didn't choose 2 books that I already had to read for different challenges in July, but I chose 2 additional ones. So it ended up being, so that's how this ended up, and this TBR ended up going south. So the 2 books that I chose for this prompt were The Final Empire and the Vale of Ascension by Sanderson. These 2 books are first 2 books in the Mistborn series, in which we are following a guy named Kelsey who wants to bring down the Final Empire, which is in this world where the Dark Lord won. And he brings together this group of Allomancers, who an Allomancer is a person who can ingest metal, and depending on the metal they can ingest gets different power. And Kelsey himself and young girl named Vin who he recruits are Mistborns, which means that they can actually ingest all the metals and harness the powers of all of them. And it's there, and it's following them. Now I want to for what challenges are these? So this one is for Booklist Queens 2022 Reading Challenge to read. Let me just find the prompt. Prompt 40 to read a book by a British author. And that actually might be, that is it, which is really good. This doesn't appear on any of my TBRs for the challenges. I think that I only put first 3 in that series on my TBRs, because I didn't know how many of them I will reread this year. Now, let's see. And these two I think aren't on any TBRs. Yeah, they're not, but be ready for 1,000 plus pages of The Way of Kings by Sanderson. This is the first book in his Stormlight Archive series, which is supposed to tie his Cosmia together. So in this one we're following a war between Alethi and the Parshendi, which has been raging on for a couple of 100 years after Parshendi killed Alethi king. But that initial reason fell into forgotten land, because now they're only they're only fighting for these shard blades and shard plates, which are these swords and shields that grant their wearer powers. This is on my Booklist Queens 2022 Reading Challenge. From 27 to read an epic adventure. And then on the 52 Book Club's 2022 Reading Challenge. For the 27 to read a book that includes a map. I think both of these have a map in them, because British paperback editions are split into 2. So then I think that's actually it. Yeah, no, it's also on my Stacked Reviews 2022 Reading Challenge TBR. To read a fantasy novel. Okay, that makes sense. And now its sequel, Words of Radiance by Sanderson. Whew. It's the same synopsis, considering it's the sequel to that book. This is on my Booklist Queens 2022 Reading Challenge. Where is Words of Radiance? It has to be here. No, it's actually not. Wow. It's actually not on that one. But it is on my 52 book clubs 2022 reading challenge TBR. Let me just find the prompt. 29 to read a book over 500 pages long. This is over 1,000 pages, so I'll say that it takes that box twice. Then it's on my monthly keyword reading challenge TBR for 2022 for July, for the book that features Star, Next, Infinity, Iron, Word, People, Rise, or Clear in the title. It's not on this one. Then it's on my Stack Reviews 2022 reading challenge to read a book over 500 pages. It actually does take over 100 pages twice, which is actually a really funny coincidence. I wasn't planning on that when I wrote my TBRs. And then the last book is a Gathering of Shadows by Lee Schwab, in which we're following Kel, who one day, who is an anti, which means he can travel to parallel worlds. In this case, parallel Londons, and one day he smuggles something from Black London, which leads him into trouble. And actually, Grey London is our London without magic. Red London is where people worship magic. White London is where people fear magic, and the Black London was one that was destroyed by magic. Yeah. I guess it doesn't make sense. It actually doesn't make any sense. That's why I knew that I had to reread that one later, but I'll just cross it out for another one. This is on my TBRs for, let's check. It has to be on at least one for me to know to read it. No, that's the first book in a series. First book in a series. It's actually on none. But oh no, the first one is on June's TBR, and the next one is for August on a few TBRs, so that's why this one is here. I forgot. That's it for this review. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. Down below, you have my social media, my email, and some other stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.